So, Steve, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. So, I do the consultations, and every once in a while, someone will come up with, they'll be there by themselves planning to separate. And I know that one of the things we can do in couples work is to help couples either separate well or form an alliance for how to move through that. But then
Mhm.
also, sometimes they really just want to come by themselves. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's kind of it is a tricky one because I know like sometimes you've sent someone through and I'll often say, hey, did you ask them about coming together? And you're like, yeah, Steve, I asked them about coming together. Um, but it's yeah, because it is because my tendency is to like I'm typically if I'm talking to people, I'm pretty strong about saying, hey, let's come in together. So one of the things can be that particularly if it's a guy coming in by themselves. Normally, when initiating a separation, there is someone else. Like in over 90% of cases, there's someone else, which doesn't necessarily mean that they're sleeping with them, although that's pretty common. But there is at least quite a strong emotional tie, and there's a pretty simple reason, for that, obviously, in terms of how wonderfully socially connected we are as guys, and how we always have so many people to talk to. But yeah, we tend to be pretty isolated, and so moving. Moving out of a relationship, we tend to do when we've got some kind of a backstop, with us. Um, yeah, and so then obviously, if that's kind of sitting in the background, that can be pretty challenging, to bring the partner in because, they're sort of worried about getting outed or outing themselves or, something like that. So that can make it challenging.
Yeah, because my view on all of it would be that separations and divorces can be quite difficult, right? In many ways, including financially. And one of the things that's in the back of my mind is that if you come and you work through it as a couple, right, separating as a couple, even, it can be much more amicable.
True. Although having said that, in the initial session, those are not comfortable sessions, so
Right.
you're really kind of accepting short-term pain, um, to so that you can try and get some long-term gain. But it takes a lot of courage, when couples can come in, and I do have couples who come in together and say, look, we've decided we want to separate, you know how can you help us do this? And typically it's because we want to look after kids. Sometimes I've had couples who don't have kids and they're like, we want to take care of each other. We recognize that this has happened, and we want to try and make that better. But it's a very challenging thing. It's a very courageous thing. um and But yeah, I mean, my preference in most cases, unless there's been significant violence or stuff like that, it's generally a better idea if people can come in together.